Hi, Stephen. Hey, it's Monday, July 8th, and I hope everyone had a lovely long holiday weekend, 4th of July, and massive heat wave in California. And um, we had our new moon in Cancer on Friday the 5th. And I know many of you are listening from other places in the world and the country, and um, so the heat wave information didn't really serve you. Sorry. But Friday's new moon in Cancer uh, sets us up for this lunar cycle, this lunar month of having a focus, a conscious and an emotional, intuitive focus on what we need, what we're feeling, how we're desiring care for ourselves, and how we're showing up in that caring, tender, responsive way in our lives for ourselves, like in parenting ourselves, or for the other people in our lives to show that we have care and sensitivity towards what they may be feeling, what they may be needing. Um, this new moon was in close range to Venus. So there's a way that we're all drawn to that kind of soft, tender, caring energy. And uh, may also be more aware of our sensitivities, more inclined to go inward or to withdraw. This is where the heat wave spoke to me. I've been, mostly inside where I can keep it cool and not as external, not as active with others and with being outside, our errands or things like that. Uh, Cancer is a sign associated with home. And so being home might feel really good this month. It's kind of a funny time of year with our, summers and vacations and a lot of activities a lot of times. And the energy is inviting us to be more gentle, to have more rest, to be comfortable, to take care. Keeps coming to mind. Um, it's an emotional and intuitively sensitive time. On Sunday, I went to see the movie Inside Out 2, which is a Pixar film about our internal or the internal emotional workings of a young girl. I think it's got a lot of really wise emotional intelligence to it and works really well with parts work, that part of us who reacts out of anger or that reacts out of fear or sadness or joy. Um, and the second, I won't give it away, but the second one is about the main character going through puberty and getting access to new emotions, anxiety and embarrassment and envy and more angsty kinds of emotions. Um, and it was wonderful to be in the theater with families and kids and lots of people seeking the air conditioning of a matinee on Sunday. But I thought, how brilliant of them to launch that movie during cancer season when the sun, our conscious awareness, is highlighting through that lens of emotional sensitivity and needs. And how do we respond from, express from, and respond to our emotions? So that's an example to me of how things in the mundane in the world actually do line up with the energies of the universe and what the cosmos is asking of us, asking of us to be more aware of our internal landscape, of our emotional world, of our needs. So this month, uh, we're 2 weeks into it, more than 2 weeks into the sun in Cancer, but we're starting the new lunar month of Cancer lunar cycle. Uh, Two questions that can really help us. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? And what do I need? And then see if you can't respond to yourself in that, whatever those answers are. Those are good keys. Today, the moon is in the sign of Leo. And when the moon is in the sign of Leo, we often feel more in tune with our authentic voice, with our desire to share, with that sense of joyful enthusiasm or excitement about sharing, just like a young child would. Um, Leo wants to give, share the experience. Um, it can often come across as a need to be seen and to have attention. And so when the moon is in Leo, we all can feel that way, like wanting to express ourselves, wanting to be seen and heard. And so it's a great couple of days each month to pay attention to how you're showing up, what stories you're telling, what you want to have other people notice about you, what you find compelling and fun and joyful or creative. And also, it's a great time of the month to share with people in your life that you see them, that you appreciate how they show up in your life, what they have to say, how they express themselves, what their natural talents and gifts are. It's a great time of year to like, or time of the month. It's always a good time of year to do it, but to emphasize appreciation and acknowledgement of yourself and others. So I invite you to check that out. Um, with today, the sun in Cancer and the moon in Leo, we're in this astrological time of mutual reception, it's called. So the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon, but that's where the sun is. And the sign of Leo is ruled by the sun, which is where the moon is. So it's like the sun and the moon are visiting each other's homes and they're be in mutual reception. Like the moon is visiting the sun's house and the sun is visiting the moon's house. And I love that sense of the sun and moon being in each other's home. So there's like a freer flow of the Cancer and the Leo energy. So from what we're feeling in that like sensitive perception of Cancer, I say that because sensitive can sometimes have that like the stereotype of Cancer as a crybaby kind of sensitivity. But what it really is like that awareness of and a nuanced perception of emotion, of energy, of feeling. What's the what's the mood? What's the vibe here? Um, is a strength of Cancer energy. We all have Cancer energy in us somewhere. And this is the time to really be in it and become more aware of it and perhaps work with it. Um, so the planet Mercury is in the sign of Leo, and it has had an opposition to planet Pluto. And this is a way, Pluto is a planet, farthest out planet. It's over there in Aquarius. And in opposition to Mercury, it's like you might feel like your way you're sharing, the way you're telling stories, the way you're thinking about things could feel like you want to really get in there. You want to get to the bottom of something. You want to investigate. You want to discover. And or you could be more aware of wanting to change things, to have a transformation in the way that you share or express yourself. I was just on a Zoom with a longtime coach colleague friend, Judy Cohen, and she was talking about storytelling and changing and reframing, changing our perspective and reframing our stories. And I thought, wow, this is really good timing for that conversation. And it has me curious about what stories am I currently telling and what opportunities as I, you know, meet with a new friend today and share what am I going to talk about? What stories am I going to tell? And what perspectives um, feel true or feel fun or feel useful? These are all ways of reframing a story. Um, what is it I'm hoping to really share by telling a certain story? But also, I feel like it's giving me um, a lens or a new opportunity or way of listening to stories too. As we're talking about things or getting to know each other, how am I listening? And what am I taking away from a story? And how can I bring my attention and that sort of more diving in deep, which is Mercury Pluto connection? How can I get more curious and get to an underlying truth? So Pluto's transformation, that breakdown and breakthrough energy, is for the sake of empowering us of to a deeper truth, of getting more real and more powerful. Not that it has to be deep and significant and like, uh, you know, uh, it can be fun. It can be light, but we can be curious about how are we sharing ourselves? How are we sharing stories? How are we communicating uh, about things? In your work life, how is it that you're reporting on what's going on with projects or reports or things? And what perspective are you in while you're telling it? And in the telling, what is your desire? What is your desired impact on the other person? How do you want them to hear your story? Um, I find that really interesting. As human beings, how we communicate and how often we hear different things than the person may have intended. It's a little bit off track, but know that right now the universe is inviting us into this conversation between Mercury and Pluto, which gives us an opportunity to look at things like under that magnifying glass and going in deeper, a way of bringing our attention and our um, investigative discovering powers to it. Um, Other significant astrology this week, we are building up to the meeting of planet Mars and planet Uranus. Planet Mars and Uranus will meet up next Monday, the 15th, but the energy is building. And this is the planet Mars, the planet of war and vitality and action, is coming up to meet with Uranus, the planet of unexpected surprises, upheaval, disruption, awakening, and shift. And so there can be a, a sudden change or activation in that energy. Those planets are in the sign of Taurus, which is that stable earth element sign. So it can show up any number of ways. It can show up in your life if it is, it can be for the sake of freedom, for the sense of like moving yourself out of a rut. Like suddenly just like, okay, that old rut or that old pattern, I'm shifting. I'm getting out of, I'm getting unstuck. That's one possibility. Can also be a time for accidents. So we can be aware of and be more cautious and aware of, situations that might be dangerous or accident prone or possible. And on the world stage and climate stage, I think we're going to see perhaps even more. Perhaps we're already seeing it with Hurricane Beryl and with this massive heat wave and with tornadoes and, dramatic earth movements. Um, all of that's possible. I'm hoping the context, though, just gives you an idea of how to be aware of what's happening in your life and how you're moving through the world. The other change, Thursday the 11th, planet Venus, our planet of attraction and magnetism, what we value, what we love, what we appreciate, the kind of quality of our relationships is moving from Cancer, it's been sensitive and caring and nurturing energy, into Leo. Now, Venus in Leo can be dramatic and fun and flamboyant and love the like putting on, I think of costumes of like the pageantry of Venus and Leo, like loving beauty, loving embellishment and decorating oneself, adorning um, for that beauty of Venus. Um, but in our relationships and interactions with people, relationships of all kinds, that Leo energy can bring a greater playfulness, um, some fun, some drama, some also that power of acknowledgement. Venus in Leo really loves to be appreciated and to share appreciation. And so as Venus moves into Leo, it is also going to meet up with Pluto across the sky. And so this Venus opposite Pluto can be transformative and empowering for our relationships, or for our sense of our own values and our own value. And so invite you to be curious about that this week. How have you been holding yourself in your own esteem? And is it time for a deeper change or awakening in that way? As Venus moves through Leo, you appreciate more your authentic self and give yourself more a sense of enjoying being who you are and sharing with people in your life and your world, what you enjoy, what you find fun, where your creativity is expressing. I hope that makes some sense for you. Um, this is a week we're beginning with the new moon Friday, so we're in that waxing moon. We'll start to see the crescent moon in the sky, and uh, the 14th is the first quarter moon, the first quarter moon in the sign of Libra. And we will be having our Patreon gathering on Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific. And we'll be talking about this Cancer new moon cycle and how to work with the first quarter moon phase, which is where the energy is starting. It's becoming real. We're starting to realize, oh, out of my intention at the new moon, what actions, what things am I starting to make visible? Okay, that can be tangible things, but visible to us in our awareness. How am I giving it um, more light, more attention um, at that time of each month? So, would love to have you join us if Sunday morning you feel called, like to gather with a really interesting, wonderful, caring group of people to have conversation around how do these energies of the cosmos uh, work with us, invite us into conversations and inquiries of who we are and how we respond in in this universe and in this life game. Um, we'll then have Venus and Mercury in the sign of Leo, and I imagine it's going to be a fun and playful exploration of what does taking care of ourselves, tending to our needs and our emotions, what does that really look like? How can we step into the role of the nurturing parent for ourselves in our lives? I think that's a big question for this Cancer lunar cycle. How can I be give myself the tender, loving care that I really need? And that's involves sometimes boundaries and structures, bedtimes and healthy food and exercise and like the being responsible qualities, and we're supported in this lunar cycle by the planet Saturn over in Pisces that is working really well with this new moon and saying, yeah, in order to be that tender, responsive, emotionally safe container for yourself, there need to be structures and boundaries. There needs to be a devotion to it and a seriousness, and planet Saturn brings that in. So those are some of my thoughts and insights for the astrology this week, and invite you to join us on Patreon. I will include the link to sign up in the description of the video, and would love to see you there. Thanks so much and have a great week. It's Monday. Make it a great week. Bye.